The Democrat machine is formidable. They love abortion, and she's been the most outspoken member of the administration on abortion rights. You know, that's the reason she flew down when those Tennessee lawmakers were throwing a fit, to put herself right in the square in the center of that, the first sitting vice president to visit Planned Parenthood. That's been a very good issue for Democrats the past couple of election cycles. Though it's not like the voters don't understand Joe Biden's more pro-choice than the Republican Party is, and they were still getting ready to vote him out from the look of the polls. In any event, hate to rule her out right now because, as we've just discussed, a short runway for her may be better. And they're so relieved and feeling somewhat excited now for the first time in months. So how would you see this next couple of months playing out?
Well, it's been a really rough episode of the Megyn Kelly Show for Kamala Harris. So I just want to take one moment to say, indeed, some young people are stupid. And some of them do make bad decisions, as she said in that montage. So I'll give you a little credit for that one, Madam Vice President.
Sometimes they do.
I think it's going to take like 2 weeks before I feel like the polling will be a good measure, because I think the American electorate needs time to digest this. We just saw that short speech from her today. At some point, I hope we're going to hear from the president. And then at some point, we're going to hear from Vice President Harris making an address to the country and kind of saying, hi, I'm your new Democratic nominee. But let's point out that, like, if Democrats really wanted to, they could find some way. They could leave a horse's head in her bed or something like that, since we're using Godfather metaphors, and have Gretchen Whitmer and Josh Shapiro, governor of Michigan, governor of Pennsylvania. And then you've probably locked up 2 of the 3 blue wall states. And you probably would feel pretty good about your odds in that scenario. But Democrats don't want to go with that. They want to stick with Kamala Harris. I think she gives them a better chance than they would have had, the Democrats would have had with Joe Biden, which is not to say she's a great candidate. She brings her own flaws, which we've talked about copiously. But you know what she can do? She can campaign. She can work weekends. She doesn't have to spend every weekend at the, she can do morning events. She could do late events. She could do, she can speak off a teleprompter. She's going to have some bad moments. She's going to have some, haiku moments, but she can do basic campaigning that the Joe Biden was proving he just could not do anymore.
Well, let me ask you this, Geraghty. Let me ask you this. What are the odds of the Democrats understanding what we understand, which is, yes, she can do those things, but she's weak. She is weak. She is not a strong candidate going into this, but she'd be stronger if she were the sitting president. And so knife in the back took out Joe Biden, maybe knife in the front removes him from the presidency. And maybe they tested for more than just COVID when he went in last week. And now we've come to the realization that he's got to step down because of X, Y, whatever the diagnosis is, because whatever blackmail material there was to make him step down from second term could still be used. I mean, this is not a nice group of people. We've seen that. And they have absolutely no loyalty to Joe Biden. That we have to give him, right? He's been reportedly very angry at Schumer, Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, all these people behind closed doors who completely knifed him just as soon as they could. No loyalty. So what's to stop them from doing it again? Because wouldn't she do better if she were the sitting president in this into this race?
First of all, Megyn, can we point out the weirdness of being in the position of thinking that Kamala Harris is terrible, that I don't want to see her elected, and also simultaneously believing she should be taking the oath of office this afternoon?
Same, Jim, same.
Right? She's terrible. But on the other hand, she seems to be mentally all there, close enough, and Biden isn't. We don't see Biden, right? So, by that standard, she should be the commander-in-chief right now. And it's conceivable that people around Biden will draw that same conclusion. But I think being president for 6 months would be an advantage. It would say, this is what I can do. Look, entirely separate from Joe Biden being old and crotchety and possibly senile, Biden has a bad record. And it's kind of tough for Kamala Harris to completely separate herself from that. But she can, at some point, say, I love Joe, but I'm going to do things a little bit differently than him. And I'm going to do X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C. It's not a great, and again, if you're starting out with Whitmer and Shapiro or any other 2 Democrats, you have a better chance of saying, we're the candidates of change. We're not the status quo. But she could at least pull it off. And if she becomes president, she can immediately take some actions, i.e., we're going to restart building border wall stuff. These are not what she would want to do, but these are things she could do to say, hey, President Kamala Harris is not going to be like the President Joe Biden you didn't like, and maybe things will be changing. None of these are great options for the Democrats, but I think they're better than what they had up, 48 hours ago. And, again, she's younger. She should help with women. She should help with minorities. I would see states that like Virginia, New Mexico, New Hampshire.
Not minority like men.
No, she's going to repel a certain chunk of voters as well. But I think that, again, she seems loopy, not senile.
Mm-hmm,
believe it or not, that's an improvement.
Yeah, that's all true. I can't help feeling, especially given this election cycle, you guys, like look what's happened in the past 3 weeks. May I remind you, the debate was less than a month ago. We had this disastrous debate. We saw the president's loss of his mental faculties before our very eyes. We had a presidential assassination attempt, and they actually did shoot President Trump. Then we saw the sitting president step down, maybe through Twitter. So, I mean, somebody on Twitter yesterday posted, in order for there to be a true October surprise this year, it would have to be actual space aliens coming down. Like, how much more could they raise the stakes? Like the amount of news that's coming at us. So my point is, don't rule anything out. We could be in for yet another wallop where Joe Biden steps down from the presidency. They elevate her. Some Americans enjoy using their credit cards because it can be a hassle-free and secure way to pay. But our sponsor, the American Payments Coalition, says that some DC politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. They say the bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. They say corporate megastores will make more money and you'll end up paying the price. Find out more info at guardyourcard.com and consider telling Congress to guard your card while you're there too. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.